Hey guys, Bible in a Year, episode 129. Pastor James, there, Pastor Kevin, here. We're going to start talking kings of the southern kingdom today. So that's our episode. Let's do this thing. All right, First Chronicles 11, 12, 13, and 14. It's funny, right before we started this episode, and we've recorded, what did we record? Four, five. This is our fifth one today that we've recorded. You ever, I know, look, I think everybody's felt this way. You ever feel like you just like could fall asleep any second?
No, I've never felt that way, of course.
You know what's funny?
Do you feel like that right now?
At some point of this episode, you may be talking, and I may be growing very quiet, and you may look over and go, so that's what I was thinking, Kev. And you're going to be like, Kev's asleep. I'm just tired right now. I don't know why. I'm just really tired. No, it's gone.
Oh, well,
it's gone. Celia usually has like 9 bottles of water here for us. But
yeah,
I was so tired. No, you're fine. I was so tired today. I just got an extra cup of coffee. I limit myself now to 2 cups of coffee a day, but this was my third. You know, ever since the whole heart thing last year at this time, I've totally limited my coffee.
I bet.
You know, my whole life has changed since then. Do you know has nothing to do with 2 Chronicles 11 through 14.
I mean, we can make it. I mean, I'm sure we can figure it out.
Yeah, really. Do you know I went to dinner with the other night? My cardiologist and his family.
You told me that.
It was the coolest thing.
What is he watching what you ate?
No, that he's so happy.
No,
whose cardiologist calls them and says, hey, man, let's go to dinner? Yeah. Like, I never knew this guy before that. He's a great man. He and his family, Christians, wonderful people. And he said, let's go get some dinner. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And the funny thing was, he ordered all these appetizers. He knows what I'm allowed to eat, what I'm not allowed to eat. But after I finished my entree, he goes, I'm so proud of you. You ate fish.
Yeah.
But no, my whole life has changed.
It was a test.
My whole life has changed. I'm like 50 pounds down. I feel phenomenal. I feel so good. All right, here we go. So let's get into these kings. So I think this is significant. And I hate to read to the people, but I do it often. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we're going through the Bible.
What's that?
We're going through the Bible.
Yeah, we're with the Bible. We should read some. Okay, so what I don't want to do is like read all the names. So I want to draw your attention, though, because a lot of times people think it's just the tribe of Judah that's left in the city of Jerusalem. And you have in verse 12 the statement that it's not just the tribe of Judah that's in Jerusalem. It's also the tribe of Benjamin as well. So Judah and Benjamin were his Rehoboams. So the split occurs, okay, and we've gone through that before in other episodes. The split occurs, Rehoboam to the south, Jeroboam to the north, okay. Jeroboam is a horrendous sinner, just awful. And, you know, I'm not sure Rehoboam's pure as the wind-driven snow. All of these guys, even the ones that are great guys in Jerusalem, ultimately are not strong enough in their faith to prevent.
They all falter.
They all do.
And what's the lesson for today? So do we.
So do we.
Right? That's why you need Jesus.
Right. And my point in saying that is, even the good kings, what I hope people see is, even in the good kings, there's a deterioration. And it's why when we start 2 Chronicles a couple episodes ago, 4 episodes ago, or whatever it was, that I say, okay, James, get your calculator out. Let's do 12 times 240, and 240,000. And we say, 24,000. We see nearly 300,000 soldiers, and by the time we reach the end of 2 Chronicles, there ain't nobody left. There, and those that are either this broken down little remnant in Jerusalem, or handful of folks running off to Egypt, or the vast majority of the handful of thousands that are left are carried off to Babylon. And this is where the split occurs. This is, the beginning of the breakdown, so on and so forth. But the part that I wanted to read, 2 Chronicles 11, start with verse 13. The priests and the Levites from all their districts throughout Israel sided with Rehoboam. So what happens here is when you guys are reading this, the priests and the Levites are dispersed.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but
No, you're fine.
I think they do that because of Jerusalem and because of the temple, not necessarily because of Rehoboam.
Okay, that's 100% true.
Yeah,
and
which
this
is great
is
for Rehoboam.
And this is okay. So David and I talked about this,
Yeah.
Dr. Spence.
Oh, okay.
We touched on it.
Yeah.
This is part of the reason why the people in Jerusalem had no regard whatsoever
At all.
for the north.
Yep.
And look, we've been there.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk Jerusalem, it's not like you got like a neighboring city.
Yeah.
Jerusalem is it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to leave the city, go up the Mount of Olives, down the back of Mount Olives. Then you get to Jericho. Then you go up the Jordan River, and the first place you hit is Samaria. So the king of Assyria settles people in Samaria who aren't even Jewish people, and they're fiddle-fooling around with the customs, and they're not really committed. And then they become these hybrid kind of people after some of the Israelites come back. Hence the reason we have John 4, where the woman at the well says, why do you Jews say you got to worship? She didn't even know what she's talking about. Yeah. And Jesus says, look here, it's not where you worship, but how you worship. Yeah. But it's also Galilee of the Gentiles. Yeah. Zebulun and Naphtali, Galilee of the Gentiles. Those living in darkness have seen a great light. Can anything good come from Nazareth? I don't know. Where's Nathaniel from? Is that his neck of the woods, or is he a transplant there? We see all of this. And you're right. Those Levites, they're trying to preserve the best they can the holiness of God, and ultimately they can't preserve it either. So the priests and the Levites from all the districts throughout Israel, so from Jerusalem all the way up to the Sea of Galilee, all right, sided with him. The Levites even abandoned their pasture lands and property and came to Judah and Jerusalem. Why? Because Jeroboam and his sons had rejected them as priests, because, Jeroboam was doing his own thing.
It just shows you the disregard. He didn't even think it was important.
No.
He's like, worship temple, we don't need that. I don't need that.
Not that.
Yeah, I don't need
that. Or
that. Yeah.
We're just going to do it our way.
Yes.
We're just, even, goodness, even when you see the golden calf in the book of Exodus, at least there's a melding, and I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's idolatry.
There was some form of, he had religious, you want to call it conscious.
Yeah, but Jeroboam just completely dismisses the one true and living God altogether. Yes. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God, the Lord is one. Mm-hmm. Like, what happened to that brother when he was over in Egypt? Mm-hmm. Like, you talk about the reason why you don't go back to Egypt? Because you'll lose your soul, which is a profit of man to gain your whole soul. Like, he would have been, he would have been better in some respects to stay in Jerusalem and die than to go off to Egypt and die. And come back and bring death with him. Yep. Okay? So, let's see here. Jeroboam and his sons had rejected them as priests of the Lord when he appointed his own priests for the high places and for the goat and calf idols he had made. Those from every tribe of Israel who set their hearts on seeking the Lord, the God of Israel. So you're right. They're not chasing after Rehoboam. They're chasing after the God of Israel. Followed the Levites to Jerusalem to offer sacrifices to the Lord, the God of their ancestors. They strengthened the kingdom of Judah and supported Rehoboam, son of Solomon, 3 years, following the ways of David and Solomon during that time. So you're right. This is the last kind of bastion for worship of the one true and living God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God, the Lord is one. And this is it. This is it. But again, it doesn't take long for the breakdown to occur.
Mm-hmm. Nope, not at all.
So, Rehoboam's family, it goes down through all of that.
Yep.
Abijah is kind of set up as maybe like the crown prince, you know what I mean? He's set up as the crown prince. He's the next. Then you have Shishak come in, he attacks Jerusalem, so on and so forth. Rehoboam out as king as he passes away. Abijah becomes king of Judah. And again, we stress this. This is the story, okay? This is the story, for the most part, of the southern kings of the nation of Israel, which is Judah and Benjamin. Now, let's do this. Chapter 14, just to kind of finish up here, all right? Verse 1. And Abijah rested with his ancestors, was buried in the city of David. Asa, his son, succeeded him as a king. And in his days, the country was at peace for 10 years. Okay, we're not fighting with Jeroboam.
Yep.
Asa did what was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. He removed the foreign altars. Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute.
So that means who put him there?
Well, and we know this.
Yep.
It's Solomon.
Yep.
He had put, so Asa removes the high places that his grandfather, Solomon, had permitted. Why did he do that? He was drawn away by his love for his foreign wives. And I think it's interesting because you talk about how the temple is there so that all nations will know. And we know Solomon takes this census, and yet he doesn't do those things to be drawn into the presence of God. Ultimately,
he does those things because he's acquiring.
He just keeps acquiring. His heart keeps going away. His heart keeps going away. So when we read this with Asa, Grandpa did this, and Dad didn't tear the stuff down. Asa did what was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. He removed the foreign altars and the high places that Solomon had put in place. He smashed the sacred stones and cut down the Asherah poles. He commanded Judah to seek the Lord, the God of their ancestors, and obey his laws. He removed the high places and incense altars in every town of Judah, and the kingdom was at peace under him. Again, it's the conditions for righteousness.
Yes.
When we allow the conditions to be in place for righteousness, then don't be surprised when righteousness is present.
Sure.
It's not good things or bad things. It's Job saying, no, wait a second here. I know I've got boils all over me. I know I'm in sackcloth and ashes. I know I've lost my whole family. But the reality is, the conditions of my life,
I'm a true worshiper of the living.
Yes, is worship.
Yes.
It's love.
Yes.
It's intercession.
The book sets it up exactly right. The book sets it all up about his righteousness. When his kids are out partying, remember they were adults, by the way, because kids don't live in their own houses and party and have going on. Yeah. That's what was happening.
Sure.
That's why the devil was given some permission there, because they were adults, and he was like, even if I could just, hopefully this sacrifice would atone. There's atonement.
He's acting in the advocacy of his Lord that he doesn't really know, but he knows.
Yes, and sure enough, that's who does that? But someone who all their hope and trust is in Yahweh.
Yes, and this is what King Asa is doing.
Yes,
he's recognizing we got to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of closed my Bible here, just and the reason why is, I can't tell you how many times I've listened through the Bible now over these last how many ever years just from walking in the morning. And as I keep going back to the Old Testament, okay, so you finish it up, you're done with the book of Revelation, you're done. Hope you enjoyed listening on Audible, and then, Audible like to present, I can quote it, because I've heard it so many times. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, and what I see or what I hear as I'm listening is humanity's default of rebellion rather than surrender.
Always.
And the other thing is this, and I just see this. It doesn't matter whether it's as I'm sitting here, I'm trying to think, how do we do this best? So watch this. Joseph to Moses, over that 430-year period, because there's no dominant godly person in front of the people of Israel, there's a falling away. There's a forgetting. Moses comes back, and as rebellious as the people are, his strength of devotion is able to draw that next generation into some level of faith. And when he dies, Joshua leads them. And as long as Joshua's in place, we're good. Joshua dies, and now we see this. If there's a strong judge, there's a strong faith. Judge dies, faith dies. Strong judge, strong
what's
faith.
That say? Oh,
yes, that's my point.
Say ultimately, it says
you don't have a strong faith.
Yes, because it's based on man. It's based on these guys. We're tethering themselves to a person and not to the one they're trying to point us to.
When I say this with utmost respect to you and to I, as the dads in the home, Jacob and Ryland's faith is not in place because of the strength of your faith.
Amen. Now that is an amen.
Tanner, Garrett, and Cameron's faith is not in place because of the strength of my faith.
That's huge.
Okay? Now, do you have a strong faith?
Yeah.
Yes. Has it influenced your children?
Influence, yes.
Yes. Same thing with Tanya. Same thing with Leslie. But the reality is, our kids have faith because they have faith.
Yes.
Not because of us.
Yes.
They have their own faith.
Yes.
And when you're reading the Old Testament, you don't see that.
Yeah.
You don't see it. Mm-hmm. That is the story of the Old Testament.
Yes.
That's why you keep reading these things that say, it's why it says, if you'll come back. Yeah, because you were never there in the first place.
Yes.
You're all fired
up.
I will never there in the first place.
Well, that's us always trying to, pretty up the outside, thinking that's going to change the inside.
You're a whitewashed sepulcher.
There's no chance.
You're a cup that is clean on the outside, and you are filthy on the inside.
I mean, if they walked away from Jesus, it's just, his own disciple, I don't mean the 12, but one definitely did, and the rest of the disciples, there were a lot more than 12, by the way, they all left too. If Jesus couldn't keep a semblance of order with order, what makes us think us creating the right conditions is going to, because it's not how it works.
I mean, it's funny because we talk we talk sometimes about 11 o'clock service. Not talk bad about them.
No.
But our congregation is probably 75-25, 80-20 in terms of attendance between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. So let's just kind of take 9 o'clock and set it over there. There is a powerful remnant that's present in that 11 o'clock service.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at that, the creator of the universe, Jesus himself, ascended to heaven with what we said a couple episodes ago, 120 people.
Yep.
Really, man?
That's it.
And we look
That's all you can get?
Yeah. Is that it?
Let's think about that.
But I was thinking about this the other morning when I got home from my prayer walk and I was finished. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I walk 2 miles every day, come home. I do 100 sit-ups. I do 50 bench presses. And then I go downstairs and I stretch for 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is. And I'm thinking about this. Jesus was 30 years old.
Yeah, 30.
30 years old. You'll be 29 this year, Tanner. He started his ministry a year after my oldest son's age. And in 3.5 years, he radically changed human history. Man, we've been doing this for 20 plus years here at Kingdom. And you just think the power of Christ and what he did with 120 people sold out to him.
Yes.
So may we never look at that 11 o'clock service and go, it's only 25% of who comes on a Sunday. What?
Nope.
We talk about what can be done in the lives of people sold out. But the
Amen.
story of the Old Testament is a story of people that aren't even remotely sold out. And hence the reason Christ has to come. So it was funny. I closed my Bible like 6 minutes ago, and I've been on this diatribe ever since. Anyways, but God bless you guys. Just thank you so much. We'll be back again tomorrow with more episodes of 2 Chronicles. I can't remember who I have it written here. Who's after 2 Chronicles? Oh, Daniel. Daniel's coming in. He's doing Ezra and Nehemiah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Look. Okay, so like let's just talk who this brother is. How cool is that going to be to hear Daniel talking about Ezra the priest? Mm-hmm. Hello. And you want to talk about somebody that can mobilize a group of people. Mm-hmm. Like, I look at what Daniel's done with that Connect crew. Holy smokes. You want to talk about a Nehemiah assembling people and getting a wall built? I cannot wait to hear Daniel talk about Ezra, and I cannot wait to hear Daniel talk about Nehemiah. This is going to be amazing. So, all right, I digress. Hey, guys, God bless y'all. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. God bless.